Have you ever really stopped to think about how much of what you know, maybe even who you are, comes from someone older? Like a family recipe, maybe a life lesson from a grandparent, or, I don't know, learning a skill alongside a parent. This way we pass things down, understanding, skills, values, generation to generation. That's what we call intergenerational knowledge transfer, IKT. And it's not just some nice-to-have idea. It's really fundamental to how societies work, how they last. Today we're doing a deep dive into IKT, especially how AI, artificial intelligence, is changing it in some pretty profound ways.
Yeah.
And what that actually means for you.
Exactly. And IKT, it's not just data transfer, right? It's this living thing, this inheritance. It shapes what we do now based on the past. It's woven into everything. It's crucial for resilience, for adapting, for keeping cultures going. And today, we're looking at it through a specific lens, kind of a science of the science view. We're digging into the mechanics of how it works and how AI is now part of that system.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. When we say IKT, what kinds of knowledge are we actually talking about? Because it's not all the same. We can kind of break it down. 3 main types. First, you've got explicit knowledge. That's the stuff that's easy to write down. Documents, procedures, rules, like a manual or a research paper.
Straightforward stuff, yeah.
Then there's implicit knowledge. This is more about actually using that explicit knowledge. It's the skills you pick up, often informally, by interacting with others.
Yep.
Like getting good at negotiating. You can read about it, sure, but you learn by watching, by doing it in meetings.
Right, the practical application. And the third one is tacit knowledge. This is the really interesting one. It's that deep experiential wisdom, the know-how, that intuition that's super hard to actually write down or explain. Like, how do you explain the feel of riding a bicycle? Or that gut feeling for how to motivate your team? You can't really list steps for that. It's learned through experience, internalized.
Totally. And what's really striking, even right from the start, is how AI fits into this. Our sources suggest AI isn't just looking at IKT as something to, manage. It's seeing it as a way to understand how humans learn, how societies evolve. Think about generative AI. It can wade through just incredible amounts of information, organize it, connect bits of knowledge from all over the world. It's like this dynamic bridge.
Yeah, it's almost like AI could offer this metacognitive layer for society itself, like a way for society to understand its own learning process. Imagine AI analyzing these huge data sets, spotting subtle patterns in learning or social dynamics, things maybe too complex for us to see on our own. It could show us things about how we learn, how memory works, how culture shifts, things we only partially grasp now. But that, of course, raises big questions like, can we always trust AI's interpretation of these really deep human processes, especially with the whole black box issue sometimes?
Right. So, okay, before AI can really help us learn better or make IKT smoother, we really need to get how we learn. Humans. What's a cognitive science view? Well, memory is obviously huge. Long-term memory, that's where knowledge lives, right?
Yeah.
If learning is going to stick, it needs to get in there so we can pull it out later. And then there's attention. You need sustained attention to actually encode new stuff. That feeling. Too much info coming at you and your brain just shuts down.
Oh, yeah. Cognitive overload.
Exactly. That's cognitive load theory. Your working memory gets swamped and nothing new gets saved properly. It's fascinating that AI actually has attention mechanisms designed to mimic that, to focus on what's relevant. And the third piece is metacognition. That's being aware of your own thinking, knowing how you learn best, planning your learning, checking if you actually understand. It's vital for effective learning.
And this leads to a really critical point. It's not enough for AI just to be smart, computationally speaking. It needs to be, well, pedagogically smart. Our sources call it the cognitive alignment imperative. Basically, AI's usefulness in IKT really hinges on how well it can mimic or support or at least understand our human cognitive processes, not just dump data on us. We need AI that's maybe cognitively empathetic, AI that gets how we think and learn.
Okay, so let's connect that back to those 3 types of knowledge. How does AI handle each one? For explicit knowledge, the easy to write down stuff AI is, like a supercharger, right? NLP, machine learning. They make explicit knowledge incredibly easy to find, organize, share. AI can process mountains of text, pull out the key points, even write summaries. It democratizes access.
Absolutely. It makes that kind of knowledge almost instantly available. But then implicit knowledge, the skills learned through doing and watching, that's still mostly a human thing. AI can analyze interaction data, sure, but the actual transfer, learning how to, say, read a room or mentor someone, that still happens best through social interaction, observation. AI can't quite replicate that human touch yet.
Yes. And then tacit knowledge, the really hard one. that intuition, that experience. Can AI even touch that?
Well, interestingly, it can help. It can't have tacit knowledge like we do, but it can help us translate some of it into more explicit forms. Think about tools like text mining or sentiment analysis. AI can analyze emails, reports, meeting transcript stuff, where that tacit knowledge might be hinted at, and pull out patterns or insights that maybe even the expert hadn't fully articulated.
Okay. So it helps us capture the shadows of it, maybe.
Kind of. And this points to what the sources call the tacit knowledge bottleneck. It's just really, really hard to capture and transfer this stuff. Humans are still essential for the direct sharing of tacit knowledge. AI can augment us, help us externalize it, organize it, share those hints we just talked about. But it doesn't replace the human expert in that process. It's AI helping us share our unique, hard-won knowledge, not AI having the knowledge itself.
Got it. Now, here's a shift I find really profound. Moving from just passing on knowledge to passing on intelligence. What's the difference there?
Yeah, that's a big one. So traditional knowledge transmission is about sharing facts, concepts, information, like reading a textbook. The heavy lifting, the cognitive work of understanding and applying it, that's all on the human learner. But intelligence transmission, that's different. It's about sharing the actual cognitive processes, the reasoning, the analysis, the problem-solving ability itself. A lot of that cognitive work is sort of embedded in the AI. Think about an AI that diagnoses diseases or composes music or suggests architectural designs. You're not just getting data, you're interacting with a system that performs cognitive tasks.
So you're tapping into its thinking process in a way.
Exactly. And this leads to something our sources call the democratization of cognitive capabilities. It's a powerful idea. AI could make really complex cognitive skills, things that used to require years of specialized training, like medical diagnosis or engineering design, accessible to almost anyone with an internet connection. It could really flatten those traditional hierarchies of expertise.
Wow, that sounds amazing, but I can already sense the but.
Well, yes, there are definitely things to consider, like the risk of the AI just reflecting patterns in its training data that might not fit every situation, or the risk of our own critical thinking skills potentially weakening if we rely on it too much. And of course, the big one, access. If this capability isn't available equitably, it could actually create new divides, new power imbalances.
Right, absolutely. Okay, before we go deeper into AI's impact, let's take a quick detour. Why do we humans even have rules and norms? What's the science behind that? How does it connect to passing on experience?
Fascinating question. Our sources dig into the evolutionary basis. Evolutionary psychology suggests a lot of our rule-following behavior comes from, well, what helped our ancestors survive? Think conditional decision rules, like the basic math of reciprocity, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Or the huge advantages of cooperation. Groups that figured out how to cooperate, how to establish trust and norms, they generally did better.
So rules helped us work together and survive.
Basically, yes. And then you see the sociological manifestation of that. You get social norms, the unwritten rules, informal stuff, folkways, like how you greet someone, and more serious mores tied to morality. And eventually, formalized laws. They all guide behavior.
And these evolve over time through cultural evolution.
Exactly. Norms get formalized, agreements are made, and pro-social feelings like empathy or even shame and embarrassment evolve alongside these systems to help reinforce them. It's this constant interplay between our biology and our culture.
So it's not just top-down rules, it's deeply embedded.
Precisely. It shows this co-evolution. Our psychology shapes our societies, and our societies, with their rules and norms, shape us back. It's a feedback loop. And understanding that is crucial if we want AI to interact constructively with human societies. If an AI is supposed to analyze or even help improve rules, it needs some grasp of their deep, often messy, evolutionary and cultural roots, not just the literal text of the law.
That makes sense. Okay, let's trace the history of IKT a bit. How do we get from elders telling stories around a fire to, well, to where AI comes in?
It's a long arc. You start with oral traditions, right? Elders as living libraries. Mentorship. Then writing comes along, a huge shift, allowing knowledge to be stored, shared more widely, but maybe losing some of that interactive element. Then printing, mass education, and interestingly, sometimes modernization, industrialization, globalization, while bringing progress also unintentionally pushed aside traditional and indigenous knowledge, created a kind of perceived gap where valuable local wisdom started to fade.
So progress had a cost in terms of lost knowledge pathways.
In some ways, yes. But here's where AI gets really interesting. Our sources suggest AI could be part of a transformative epoch, potentially helping us restore some of those lost connections. Think about it. AI can handle vast amounts of diverse data, including oral histories or endangered languages. It can connect different knowledge systems. The example given is fascinating. AI combining sophisticated scientific climate models with indigenous weather forecasting knowledge, which is often incredibly nuanced and local, that gives a much richer picture.
A digital bridge between old and new knowledge systems.
Potentially, yes. But, and this is a huge but, it requires extreme care. Ethical responsibility is paramount. There are real risks of, say, commodifying sacred knowledge, distorting it, or cultural misappropriation if it's not done with deep cultural sensitivity, inclusivity, and genuine community control. The communities themselves have to lead.
Absolutely crucial. Okay, so let's focus on how AI can be a catalyst for IKT, actually improving the process. What are the key benefits our sources highlight?
There are several big ones. First, global aggregation and dissemination. AI can index and link knowledge globally, creating these dynamic bridges between experts and learners, regardless of where they are, truly making knowledge more accessible.
Okay, breaking down geographical barriers.
Exactly. Second, personalized learning. This is huge. AI can tailor learning experiences to your specific needs, your pace, your style. It can give you real-time feedback, create customized learning paths.
Like a personal tutor, almost.
In some ways, yeah. Third, efficiency and scalability. AI can automate parts of training, distribute learning materials widely, assess progress efficiently. Great for organizations or large-scale education.
Makes sense. What else?
Enhanced accessibility. We touched on this, but AI can make explicit knowledge super easy to find. Chatbots can answer questions instantly. Multilingual AI can translate. Hybrid search can find heritage knowledge. It breaks down barriers for underserved communities, too.
That's powerful.
Then there's building collective memory. AI can analyze historical data, spot trends, even simulate future scenarios based on past patterns. It could help us learn from history, maybe avoid repeating mistakes, break cycles of historical amnesia.
Like a societal early warning system?
Could be. And finally, facilitating social learning. AI can analyze interaction patterns to suggest potential mentors, connect people with shared interests, or help teams collaborate more effectively even if they're remote.
Okay, a lot of potential benefits there. Now let's zoom in on the youngest learners. How does AI help kids develop not just academically, but, as people?
Right, so in personalized education, AI tools adapt to a child's pace, give instant feedback, create tailored paths. This often leads to better results, more engagement, makes learning more effective, and maybe more fun. It also provides teacher support. AI can help with grading, finding resources, creating personalized materials. This frees up teachers from some of the admin load, letting them focus more on the human side, building relationships, fostering community in the classroom.
That's a huge plus for teachers, I bet.
Definitely. And importantly, AI helps in addressing learning challenges. It allows for differentiated teaching, providing support for kids with specific needs, using different modalities. It can really help level the playing field.
So it supports cognitive growth, but what about the social and emotional side?
That's where it gets really interesting. AI and robotics actually show potential here too. They can help nurture skills like problem solving, communication, even emotional regulation. Think about social robots. They can provide kind of judgment-free zone for practicing social skills. This has been particularly helpful for some neurodivergent children, like those with autism. Studies show interaction with robots can sometimes help with things like eye contact or initiating communication.
Wow. But it's a supplement, right? Not a replacement for human connection.
Absolutely, critical point. It supplements, it doesn't replace. Human interaction is irreplaceable for healthy development. AI is a tool in the toolbox.
Okay. So if we imagine the ideal scenario, raising a healthy, educated, well-adjusted child in a world with AI, what does that look like?
The sources suggest it's about balance. Leveraging AI for personalized learning, maybe some socio-emotional skill practice, but always with human oversight. Crucially, it means actively fostering critical thinking so kids don't just passively accept AI output, and ensuring plenty of real-world experiences, social interactions, play, preventing over-reliance.
So it's about teaching kids how to use AI wisely.
Exactly. This points to what you might call the digital parenting imperative, or maybe digital guardianship, including educators too. It means demanding ethical AI design, child-centered, safe by design, privacy-preserving, inclusive. And it means actively guiding kids, helping them see AI as a tool, teaching them to question its output, spot potential bias or misinformation. It's about fostering AI literacy as a fundamental skill for life now, and balancing screen time with the green time, human time.
AI literacy, that's a great term. Okay, let's pull back to the societal level again, the big picture. We know AI and IKT is powerful. What are the major societal impacts, the good, the bad, the complicated?
It's definitely a mixed bag. On the plus side, you have potential for greater societal resilience and continuity. AI helps pass on lessons learned, helping us adapt. It can foster community strengthening through shared knowledge platforms, aid cultural identity and preservation by digitizing heritage, support sustainable development, like that climate modeling example, even potentially help peace building by analyzing conflict patterns or amplifying grassroots voices.
Okay, lots of potential positives. What are the downsides, the risks we need to watch?
Well, a big one is the amplification of existing biases. AI doesn't create bias out of thin air, but if the data it's trained on is biased, the AI can perpetuate and even amplify those biases on a massive scale. Then there's the risk of de-skilling and erosion of human judgment. If we lean too heavily on AI for answers, do we lose our own ability to think critically, to solve problems independently? There's the commodification and privatization of knowledge. Could advanced AI create a knowledge divide between the haves and have-nots? The potential distortion of intergenerational dialogue, think echo chambers and filter bubbles, but amplified. We also can't ignore the environmental footprint. These large AI models consume a lot of energy. And of course, the risks of manipulation and division using AI to spread misinformation or exploit vulnerabilities. And even knowledge suppression if AI is used to control access to information, much like historical examples of censorship.
So it really cuts both ways.
Absolutely. The sources call it the double-edged sword. AI isn't inherently good or bad, it's a tool. Its impact depends entirely on how we design it, how we govern it, what values we embed in it. It amplifies what's already there in society. The future of IKT with AI depends on our choices.
Right. And thinking back to rules, the sources pose this question. Why not just have one set of rules or experiences? What does that question stir up?
It really gets to the heart of why diversity matters, doesn't it? Human societies have evolved countless different ways of living, different norms, different kinds of knowledge, all adapted to specific environments and histories. That diversity is our strength. It's our collective toolkit for adaptation. IKT is the process that keeps that diverse toolkit alive and shared. If IKT breaks down, or if we try to impose one single way of knowing or being, we suffer this loss of collective memory. We lose options, we lose resilience. So the answer to why not just one set is because diversity is essential for survival and flourishing.
So trying to homogenize knowledge would be counterproductive.
Hugely. And this leads to the idea of needing an adaptive rule system for how humans and AI coexist. Our own rules and norms aren't static, they evolve. So the human guardrails we need for AI can't be a one-time fix. It needs to be a constantly evolving framework reflecting our own learning, our own moral development. Interestingly, AI might even help in this process. By analyzing the real-world impact of different rules or policies, AI could potentially help us identify rules that are outdated, ineffective, or even harmful, help us adapt our own systems better.
AI helping us improve our own rules. That's a fascinating thought.
Wow.
Okay, let's get specific about challenges again. Bias, trust, reliance, data. What risks do you, the listener, need to be aware of when using AI for knowledge?
Well, algorithmic bias is key. Always question if the AI's output might be skewed because of the data it learned from. Does it represent diverse perspectives fairly? Then there's lack of trust and explainability. Sometimes AI works like a black box. We don't know why it gave an answer. This can lead to distrust or worse, blindly trusting it without critical thought because it seems authoritative. Finding that balance is tricky.
Yeah, the computer says no problem, but supercharged.
Kind of. Also, cognitive load and mismatched expectations. Don't expect AI to be magic. Understand its limitations. If you ask too much or the wrong kind of question, you might get overwhelmed or get poor results. We also see human resistance to change. People might fear AI taking jobs or devaluing their expertise. That's a real social dynamic to navigate. And data governance and privacy are huge concerns. Where is your data going when you interact with these systems? Who controls it? How is it being used? We need strong regulations here.
And finally, remember that teaching or transferring knowledge is a skill AI needs to be specifically optimized for. Just because an AI knows something doesn't mean it's good at explaining it to a human.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, the sources also touch on some darker aspects, manipulation, conflict. How does AI intersect with those? Yeah, it's crucial to consider. AI can be a powerful tool for psychological manipulation. By analyzing behavior and tailoring messages, it could potentially exploit vulnerabilities very effectively. And thinking about rule breaking, humans break rules for all sorts of reasons. Self-interest, group pressure, sometimes even for good reasons. Social mechanisms like shame help keep things in check. AI doesn't inherently understand these nuances. And cultural conflict often stems from deeply held beliefs crashing. AI could potentially exacerbate these conflicts if used to spread divisive content, or it could potentially help bridge understanding if designed carefully.
But the point of understanding this isn't just to be scared, right?
Yeah.
It's about insight. Can AI actually help us diagnose or maybe even mitigate some of these societal pathologies?
That's the hope. The sources suggest AI could act as a kind of societal immune system. By monitoring large-scale communication patterns like hate speech trends, misinformation spread, public sentiment shifts, AI could potentially detect rising social tensions or manipulation campaigns early on. Of course, the ethical guardrails here have to be incredibly robust. The goal must be to ensure AI counters manipulation and division rather than becoming a tool for it. Transparency and oversight are non-negotiable.
So who ultimately wins and who loses in this AI-enhanced IKT world? Who benefits? Who might be left behind?
It really depends on how we manage the transition, the likely beneficiaries. Individuals and communities with good, equitable access to AI tools and the skills to use them. Younger generations growing up with this tech. Communities whose cultural heritage gets preserved and revitalized digitally. Policymakers who get better data for decisions. Organizations that adapt effectively.
And the potential victims or losers.
Those without equitable access face being left further behind. Communities whose knowledge isn't valued or is misused by AI systems. Individuals whose skills become less relevant due to automation if they aren't supported in adapting the de-skilling risk. People subjected to amplified bias or manipulation. And organizations that just fail to keep up.
It really highlights the equity issue again.
Absolutely. The sources call it the knowledge equity challenge. AI could democratize knowledge, but it could just as easily worsen existing inequalities if we're not careful. Making social justice and equity a central focus of AI development and deployment is critical.
Okay, so given all this complexity, how do we steer towards that balanced universe, where AI helps, not hinders, our cultural evolution and well-being?
The sources point towards several key areas. We need to appreciate cultural evolution and compliance. Rules aren't just laws, they're tied to ethics, traditions, family stories, the very fabric of culture. AI needs to respect that complexity. Understanding the dynamics of human relationships is crucial too. IKT principles play out everywhere from nations down to families. Biases, cooperation, conflict, these human patterns shape everything. AI needs to navigate this, and promoting cultural intelligence and pluralism is vital. AI shouldn't impose one worldview. It should support multiple perspectives, help us analyze cultural heritage through the eyes of the communities themselves.
Respecting the cultural fabric, as the sources put it.
Exactly. It's a complex adaptive system. AI's role should be to help us understand it, not to flatten it. Development needs to be culturally sensitive, community involved.
And what about leadership and governance in this AI world?
Ethical leadership is paramount. Transparency, accountability, participatory processes. Leaders need to guide AI development and deployment responsibly.
So AI shouldn't be making the final decisions in governance.
The strong message is that AI should enhance human decision-making, not replace it. It can identify trends, flag corruption risks, analyze policy impacts. Amplify citizen voices be an incredibly powerful tool for policymakers. But the human guardrails are essential. We need mechanisms for oversight, for appeal, for ensuring AI serves human values and fosters genuine dialogue, including intergenerational dialogue. AI as a compass, maybe, but humans hold the map.
A compass, I like that. Finally, let's link back to nature, environmental stewardship. How does IKT, tradition, and AI come together there?
This is a really hopeful area. Our sources talk about traditional ecological knowledge tech. Indigenous communities often hold incredibly deep, nuanced knowledge about their local ecosystems passed down for generations.
Knowledge that's often overlooked by conventional science.
Historically, yes. But AI offers a way to bridge that gap. Imagine combining sophisticated climate models with detailed, local indigenous forecasting techniques or knowledge about sustainable land management. AI can help integrate these different ways of knowing, leading to a much more holistic understanding of environmental challenges and more effective, locally adapted solutions for things like sustainable agriculture or conservation. It connects ancient wisdom with modern tech for planetary health.
That's a powerful synthesis. Okay, as we start to wrap up, can you give us some concrete, real-world examples? Where is AI already shaping our world and cultures through IKT?
Sure. We're seeing a lot in digital cultural preservation, creating detailed 3D models of heritage sites, using AI to digitally restore damaged artifacts, developing interactive AR/VR experiences for museums, providing multilingual access to archives. It's making culture accessible in amazing new ways.
Bringing history to life.
Exactly, and personalized education systems are becoming common. Platforms like Dreambox or Khan Academy use AI to adapt lessons to individual student needs in real time. In the corporate world, knowledge management is being transformed. AI helps automate training, suggests relevant expertise within the company, powers chatbots that provide instant answers to employee questions.
Making workplaces smarter.
Hopefully. And on a larger scale, think about societal memory and peace building. AI tools are being used to analyze data to anticipate potential food shortages, flag corruption risks by analyzing public contracts, or even detect escalating online hate speech that might precede violence, using data to learn from the past and anticipate the future.
Wow. Okay, this has been quite the journey. We started with defining intergenerational knowledge transfer, dug into how our own minds work, and then explored AI's huge potential and significant risks, that double-edged sword. We talked about the democratization of cognitive capabilities,
Yeah.
but also the critical need for knowledge equity.
We really covered a lot of ground, and I think this deep dive shows us something important. AI isn't just another tool for shuffling information around. It's becoming a kind of partner, or maybe a mirror, in how humanity understands itself, how it learns collectively, how it evolves. The science of the science view tells us the future here isn't fixed. It's not inevitable that AI will lead to one outcome or another. It really comes down to us, to our choices. How carefully do we design for cognitive alignment? How hard do we work to bridge those knowledge divides? What kind of ethical guardrails do we insist on? How seriously do we take digital parenting and building AI literacy for everyone? So the final thought really is for you listening now. What choices will you make in your own life, your work, your community, to help ensure AI becomes a force for building a healthier, better educated, more connected, and fundamentally good global society?
This is DigitView.